So I have a couple PowerPoint slides that I want to share, but I'm gonna start with just if we can pull that first picture up. A couple funny stories about Alan. Alan and I went to China in 2012 together, and for those of you that know me, when I travel, if it doesn't fit in my carry-on bag, it doesn't go. So we're going for 2 weeks, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, boy, I wonder how Alan's going to pack for this thing, because I can't handle it if he's going to bring a huge case of suitcases, and I mean, I just can't deal with that. And so Mark had said, you want to be with Alan all the time. It's a joy to be with Alan all the time. So Alan shows up, and I'm rolling my bag in, and I'm thinking, what's he got? So Alan rolls up, and his bag is actually about half the size of mine. So I'm like, yes, this is going to be awesome. So, I mean, it was just perfect for me. And just to Mark's point, those 2 weeks that I spent with Alan felt like, an hour, 2 days. We had a great time the whole time. And Alan left me, he left me a message on here, and I got it up on the slide there. But before I tell you the message, if you look at this picture here, this is Alan and I when we first got on our flight over to China. And for those of you that remember Alan, spent a lot of time with Alan, one of the things that he always said, and he said it to me when we sat down, it's really the reason I took this picture. He said, I don't know, Ron, this seat's a bit iffy. And if you look at this, for those of you that travel here now, this is not a normal seat here. We were actually in a pretty good seat here. So for the cattle trailer where we normally fly, when he said it was a bit iffy, I said, I got to take a picture of this. So anyways, this is Alan and I getting ready to go to China. And so I got two things to leave everybody with today. A tribute to Alan, and really a message that Alan gave to me, but I think it's for all of us. And then a tribute to him about himself and his contribution. And this first one is it's all about the journey. And when we were on that trip, and you just look at all these slides, you look at everybody that's talking today, and you look at everything that he did and the wonderful man that he was, and when he was young and his whole life. Think about that. That Alan said that to me while we were on China, and we said it to each other the whole time. And he said, it's all about the journey, Ron. And it wasn't, it's not the destination. It's not who you're with. It's not where you are, because you can make that into anything. But Alan left that with me and said, Ron, you got to remember that. It's all about the journey. So I think it's just awesome to look at all these pictures and look at all these slides and to remember Alan and remember that message. All right, next slide. So we're one of our journeys, right? So Joe and Alan and I are traveling out in California, and we're driving through Redwood, California. And I've been almost everywhere, but I've never seen a redwood tree. And I said, Alan, we're stopping. You're finding a redwood tree for me, because I want to see a redwood tree, because I've never seen one. So we stop, and Joe probably remembers this, but we pull over to the side of the road, and we actually just pulled up to a gas station and said, where can we find a redwood tree? And they said, well, if you go down the road a few miles over here. And so we're on the journey, and we go find this redwood tree. And for those of you that have seen one, it's really, really hard to get a good picture of a redwood tree, because they're so big, they're so massive. I think the only real true picture of a redwood tree, it took a photographer 140 shots that he put together to make this huge redwood tree to actually do it justice. I think that says a lot about Alan and his contribution to us and to really our industry. I mean, it's really hard to get a picture of the magnitude of Alan's contribution to this company and our industry. And so when I look back at the redwood tree and our journey, it's just a nice image for me to remember Alan that way, as a big redwood tree. So can you hit the next slide? Okay, so we saw the big one there, but one of the other stops that we had on that one was this cathedral, and that's a picture of Joe and Alan in the what's called a cathedral of trees. And what happens when a big redwood gets cut down, the roots don't die. The roots just grow a bunch of other trees around it, and I think that's Alan, you guys. I mean, Alan. It's hard for me to say how many trees Alan has in his cathedral, because he's touched so many people over the years. But it's just an awesome image for me to think about Alan, his contribution, and the fact, okay, maybe the original's gone, but the rest of us are his cathedral. And if we can remember him that way and just think about him, and you bring that forward, I think that's such an honor to Alan that it's, I mean, I'm just grateful that he was in my life and grateful that he was my friend. So I'm gonna leave everybody with this last slide here, and let's just try to remember this. It's about the journey, right? So if we can take advantage of the days that we have, and just live everything that we can to the fullest. I mean, he was a great man and a great example for all of us. So let's just remember it's about the journey.